from doing what will not work. Digest that for a minute. I'm going to explain it. Liberals know full well that the gun control measures, and I don't even like the term because you can't control guns. You can't. There's 300 million of them. There's probably worldwide. There's not possible, right? Liberals fully understand that the measures they are proposing are nothing but cosmetic and nothing but a vehicle, folks, and a patina, a cover, a mask to radical liberals, I'm talking about, to enact their underlying agenda, which is to disarm everybody in America that they can, to make sure that you are only reliant on the state for your security, your health care, your economic well-being, and everything else. Because remember, the liberal premise is you are too stupid to run your own life. You are nothing but some, uneducated and, rube. You don't know anything, and that you definitely shouldn't have a gun. Because once you have a gun, there's a sense of independence in your personal security. They don't want independence ever. Well, I'm telling you all this, and I went through that explanation because liberals know what they're proposing is crap. How do I know that? Because when you poll people, Joe, liberals, Democrats, regular, moderate Democrats, I should say regular, moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, and conservatives. When you poll across the spectrum, the evidence is overwhelming, sometimes upwards of, a super majority in some cases, well over 50%. And you ask people if it's going to do anything to curb violence and you propose specific measures, the overwhelming majority of them typically say no. Right. They understand it's not going to work. Just ask them. What I'm trying to explain to you is that they know it based on historical evidence. Columbine, folks, happened after the assault weapons ban. A lot of people in these polls know that. They understand that. So their joy, Joe, at enacting policies that they know full well based on their own surveys won't work is muted. Why? Because they know it's bull. They understand. It would be like a tax cut package that was passed that did nothing to cut taxes at all. Conservatives would be like, all right, I'm not going to fight for this. I'm not going to lose my political capital. I'm not going to go out there and lie. This is a crap tax cut. It doesn't work. Right? That would be I'm trying to think of a corollary on our side of the aisle. It would be like, we repealed Obamacare, and I didn't actually repeal it. They just named it like, whatever, Joe Armacost care, and it was the exact same thing. Conservatives would go wild. Like, this isn't a repeal. It's just the exact same thing under a different name. Yeah. Their joy and their emotion motivates people to action, folks. Their joy would be muted. Can we all agree? Mm-hmm. The same thing is happening with liberals. This is why they are losing and losing badly, consistently on this Second Amendment debate. They are not joyful at this. They are joyful at gaining control over your life. But the emotion and the joy they need to go and motivate them to action and vote is muted because they understand, even if this stuff passes, that it's cosmetic. They know full well banning bump stocks is not going to stop any criminal from assaulting you with a firearm he bought off the street. They know full well that. But the anger that liberty-loving, patriotic Americans feel at having their liberty restricted when they did nothing wrong. I can't buy a 15-round magazine. I can't buy a 5.56 chambered rifle. I can't buy this because why? Because some maniac teenager who 45 visits to his home is being reported today were all missed. I now can't protect myself how I choose because of the acts of a maniac. The anger at losing liberty will always invoke more action at the voting booth than the joy at enacting policies that are unquestioned failures. Folks, they can't win this debate. They absolutely can't win. Another thing on this. I'm trying to think of, here it is. I have a terrific piece at the show notes today. I know I say that every day, but they are, folks. I put a lot of work into accumulating pieces and commentary that is thoughtful and will contribute to your daily life. I know you're busy. I have a number of really wonderful pieces, but this one at National Review is a must-read if you are interested at all in this debate. Remember, this is not about guns. It's about control. It has always been about control. I said it was the whole setup there. Gun control is nothing but a mask for people control. I said that in a speech at the Annapolis in front of the governor's mansion 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Remember that speech? That thing went nuclear.
Yeah, it's still running on YouTube.
Yeah, tax hikes are nothing more than economic control. It is still running. It's up to like 2 million views, I think. But this is a piece from National Review today that highlights this power. And when I say this power, I'm talking about anger. Not violent anger, anger to motivate people to vote into political action. This anger at losing liberty versus the joy on the left from taking liberty when they know that taking liberty will do nothing. The anger at losing liberty will always be more powerful. There's a piece at National Review which speaks to the power of the NRA. And obviously, the disclosure, I work in NRA TV. I don't work for the NRA. I work for NRA TV. It's maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a distinction without a difference at times, but it is important that I put that out there. But folks, the power of the NRA does not come from what the left wants you to believe, buying off politicians. Folks, tons of groups buy off politicians. Yeah. Do you dispute that? I ran for office, okay? Believe me. Just go down to Capitol Hill and go to any restaurant. You can watch groups trying to buy off politicians, whether it's through PAC donations or donations. But why is the NRA? Why? Why do they have such power? Why them? It's not the money, folks. They're not even close to one of the top donors to politicians. They're not even close. Unions, Planned Parenthood, they far outweigh the abortion industry, the NRA. So why are they so powerful? Here's a quote from this piece that's up at the show notes at bongino.com. If you join my email list, as always, we'll send them to you. Please read it. It's short, it's sweet, but it's great. It says, politicians who come from communities with relatively high gun ownership, particularly from those in the South and Midwest, where Americans are most likely to own guns, are going to be hard-pressed to go against the NRA, knowing full well that its members are easily mobilized at the ballot box, especially come primary time when turnout is very low. Precious few interest groups are powerful enough to do this. All of this makes the NRA unique in the universe of interest groups. A large membership distributed across key electoral districts, motivated primarily by ideological, not economic concerns, and exercising power through the ballot box. It is hard to think of another group like this. Hammers home my point.
Yeah, sure does.
The members of the NRA, Joe, the 5 million members, they are not motivated by economic gain. They're not lobbying Congress for a tax exemption for podcasting. Joe's got a black shirt on. They're not lobbying Congress for an exemption on a black shirt industry where they produce the T-shirts. They are lobbying Congress because they want to hold on to their liberty. They want to hold on to their ability to defend themselves against aggressive violence, which I'm going to get to. Folks, this is quite literally a deadly serious thing. People who live in American communities all over the country, outside of big cities, understand full well that the police cannot protect them. The police may be 20 or 30 minutes away. That is not protection. That is a response. That is far different. That is a response after the fact, not a proactive measure before. You take away their ability to defend themselves as they see fit. You take away the ability to defend themselves at all, as they do in Maryland and may issue states. This is a literally deadly serious issue to them. And their anger at losing liberty motivates them across, quote, key electoral districts in large numbers in low turnout primaries. You cannot beat that. The T-shirt industry, Joe, may have hundreds of millions of dollars in lobbying for, all right, maybe a little dramatic, maybe millions, may have millions of dollars to give to politicians. Mm-hmm. Nobody's voting for T-shirts, brother. Nobody. But you start taking away a man's ability to defend his family, and you start taking that away in key electoral districts across this entire fruited plain, and you take it away in a primary where quite literally 1,000 votes could make a difference, now you understand how powerful this organization is? It has almost nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with the ability to organize its members to fight back when their liberty's taken away. Folks, you're making a big mistake by underestimating them. Now, one quick difference here. A distinction I want to make. In the piece also, and I strongly encourage you to read it again, it's up at the show notes. It talks about in the piece the difference between the inside and the outside game. How the Democrats right now are trying to say, oh, the NRA is powerful because they have money and they buy people off. In other words, the inside game. T-shirt places, everything else. It's not uncommon, Joe. They give money and they buy off politicians. I mean, it's what they do. They donate PAC money and say, hey, here's our position. We'd really appreciate it if you stood for it.
Yeah.
They said that's a big mistake. The NRA is powerful not because of the inside game. It is powerful because of the outside game. It is the outside game, the ability to get people to vote. Because, folks, and again, the show, we do facts and data here. We don't do nonsense, okay? When you look at polls of one-issue voters, Joe, in other words, what percentage of the population, say, votes on guns alone? What percentage of the population votes on taxes alone? They're usually very small because most people vote on a cornucopia of issues, taxes, healthcare, education. They don't vote on just one thing. But when you look at one-issue voters, the people who vote strictly on the Second Amendment, their ability to defend themselves, is far bigger than almost anyone else. You can't win. Now, I have another great piece in the show notes about how companies are starting to figure this out now the hard way. There was a bunch of companies that said, you know what? We had these, agreements with NRA members where you get a discount for buying here. Hertz did it. I think Delta, big mistake. Huge mistake. Finally, FedEx stood up and said, hey, listen, I respect FedEx. Sure, they came out with a statement against my views, by the way. FedEx said we support restrictions on magazines and other things like that, but we're not. That's fine. This is the United States of America, folks. I strongly disagree, but I will not stop using FedEx because they disagree with my political views, and you shouldn't either. What I care about is what FedEx does, not what they say. It's a free country. And what did FedEx say? We are not discontinuing this arrangement with the NRA due to political pressure. Sorry. Good for you.
All right. Yep. There you go.
Finally, some cojones. Like I said, I entirely disagree with the statement. But that's fine. We have sponsors on the show. I guarantee you, 90% of our sponsors have a significant disagreement with at least one thing I say on every show. You know what? It doesn't matter. I sponsor their product because they're good companies, and they sponsor our product because we have a good size audience, not because we have to get married on ideological views.
Right.
Joe, you have that disclaimer at CBM where you work.
Yeah.
The views on this program expressed are not necessarily the views of our sponsors. Then they have a joke at the end, but they should be, right? Yeah. But it's not. I mean, this was known forever. This has been standard practice in American advertising since the dawn of time. The sponsors they're not endorsing a viewpoint. They're simply trying to outreach to an audience, of which, thanks to you, by the way, on this show is quite substantial. And it's loyal. I haven't told you this, but our sponsors love this show. Because you listening right now in your car, in your house, I don't know, some of you may be cutting tomatoes in the kitchen. You are ferociously loyal. You know how I know it? Because the sponsors give me feedback and go, my gosh, is your audience loyal? Man, are they loyal. That's why they're here. I don't care if they are supporters of tax cuts or Obamacare or not. But I do care when they take action. And for those of you asking who the company was yesterday, it was Simply Safe. It's a good company, but I'm sorry. Their actions, I can't support that. I wasn't trying to be coy with you yesterday. I just didn't feel the need to name them, but a lot of people email me and saying, is it this company? Is it that company? Is it? No. Oh. And I felt like, gosh, that was kind of a mistake. I probably should have said that, which is fair enough. But action matters. And kudos to FedEx for their actions, not for what they said. I disagree with their ideology. And good. Free ad for FedEx. You guys should